Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. It's our live show today, and I'm glad any of you out there who are watching could join us. And for those of you who will come in at later time, we welcome you as well, whenever that may be. But this is your chance, folks, to chime in with your comments and questions for not only myself, but Mr. Jesse Schule and Mr. Sean Higgs, all of us of gamblersworld.net. And right now, folks, we got the 12-day Christmas special going on at gamblersworld.net. And today's special, you get 15% off any 7-day package from any one of our great handicappers over at gamblersworld.net. So you want to take advantage of that. You're looking at a $149 price tag as compared to $175 right up until midnight Eastern time tonight. So again, that's our 12 days of savings. It's day 3 of that special. You want to check in every day over at gamblersworld.net right up to until Christmas Eve. We'll be running daily specials for all our great handicappers, including us three. And you could also get any one of our college football bowl specials. It's $2.99 for the entire bowl season for any handicapper or handicappers, plural, that you choose to use during this time frame. And we're going to guarantee you a profit. And if you don't make a profit, whatever you paid toward that $299 purchase, whether it be the whole $299 or you used a partial credit on it, whatever you took out of your pocket, if you don't win, you don't make a profit, we'll credit back your account the exact amount of what you spent. And on a majority of occasions, folks, it's a moot point, but, it gives you a peace of mind knowing that there's some kind of assurance, because timing is everything sometime. And we don't win every day. And, as good as all of us are at that site, we go through some tough times as well. It's just the way it is. But anyway, Sean, how are you, man?
Pretty good. I just retweeted. I just found out today when I was doing my show, when you're on Twitter, you can comment on Twitter to the chat now. I didn't know that.
Very nice.
Yes.
So those of you who weren't aware of that, Sean is a wealth of information.
I just found out today. I'm like, what the heck? There's Twitter. It said joined. I'm like, joined? Who? To join the chat. Excellent.
I just got a notification that you can also stream live on Instagram from StreamYard, which we weren't able to do quite as easily before.
Well, we'll have to let the powers that be, the guys in the back room there, Mr. Seth and Mr. Quinn, to take advantage of that. And Seth's looking the other way. He's like, all right, Jim puts enough on my plate, Ross. I don't need more in any event. Jesse, how are you?
That's just easy to do. Actually, just hook up a link to it. That's nothing.
Yeah. So, that's it's a great feature. I welcome that opportunity. And Jesse, how are you?
Well, Ross, if we're going by short-term results, what have you done for me lately? I guess I swept the board with premiums last night, so I'm doing fantastic, even though guys like us don't judge our performance based on what we did yesterday. But apparently everybody else out there does. So for all those people, I'm your man.
Yeah. Well, my wife loves me today because I took the garbage out this morning. So it's all about what have you done for me lately. And that not only applies to sports betting, but it goes that way at home as well. We got some comments here. Jumping on early, Derek Feidelman. Hey, Derek, how are you? Glad you could join us today. What are you guys' feelings on teasers? I've made that perfectly clear what my feelings are. I don't believe in them, Derek. Again, I'm going to be redundant when I say this, but if you haven't heard it already, I looked at this whole concept 5 years ago or so, and I did a study of a 5-year period of time. And 70% of the time, if you won the teaser, you would have won the parlay anyway. So I'm not a proponent of parlays. Again, that's just my personal feeling. I don't use them, but Sean, your take?
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm like you. Like something you like the favorite, you want to tease it down to a pick 'em. I understand, right? You like a bunch of things, and I don't want to lay 7. Let's bring it down to a 2, whatever, 5 team out of 6 point, whatever they are, tease them down to closer to pick 'ems. I get it. I don't want to lay 16. I'd rather lay 10 or build it up. I like a dog at +8. Why not go to 14 with it? Do I do them myself? Not really. I mean, I just feel like you said, if it's going to win, it's going to win.
Yeah.
I do I do teaser Tuesdays for football just on my show on Tuesdays. I'm like, oh, college football, because people, here we go, prime example, people want them. I think my college went like 3-11 in college football, and there was never like 0-3 days. There were always 2-1 days. NFL was better. I had a winning record, but I tell people I'm not doing these things. I'm not putting my money on these. I'm a side and total guy. I'm not into teasing. I understand it though. I get it. It's you're liking a team at a better number. People are going to do what they want to do. So I don't hate it. You're getting a better number, but again, it's going back to the parlay kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go 3-team or 4-team. All right. Well, 3-1. I don't like being.
I got a great comment I'm going to share with you guys later. I didn't mean to cut you off,
That's all right,
Sean, but while one of you guys is talking and giving your analysis on something, I had a gentleman, if you want to call him that, chime in and start saying that he's made a living on parlay cards betting 5, 6, and 7-teamers. So I'll share that conversation with you guys. And then he went on to tell us he only watches us for entertainment, and we're not very insightful. And we're so
I bet you that guy owes money all over town. He probably borrows money off every family member he's got. He's probably deeply in debt. And
if you're hitting 5, 6, and 7-team parlays all the time, all right, super. You put, whether there's 100, 300, 500, you're making a nice little chunk on that, no matter what it is, whether it's $10 or $250. Why wouldn't you, if you're cashing that, why wouldn't you be playing those straight up as well? You should be rolling that.
You know what I used to love back in the day when I was on the other side of the table working for a big bookmaker back here in Western New York, back in my 20s, is when a guy would tell me that at the bar, I would say, here's my phone number. Call me between 11 and 1 on Sunday, So again, come on, the only thing you're entertaining, number one, I told him, because you're a walking human joke. So you're very entertaining in that regard. And
I actually love the comment section when they get these guys in there.
Yeah.
But Ross, you forgot to ask me what I thought of teasers, and I want to give my standard answer
to that. We got sidetracked. I'm sorry, Jesse. Go right ahead.
Well, like you said, you have a standard answer because we deal with this question a lot, and I think I'm developing a standard answer as well. And much like you, I think it's kind of a waste of time. There's not very much value in it. You're better off avoiding it. Certainly, you don't want to make a habit of it. However, unlike yourself, I will make exceptions for certain cases. In cases where I think the bookmakers shouldn't let you make teasers. For example, let's say Iowa State college football. You got a 3.5-point dog, and the total is like 29 or 30. You tease the dog with the under. I see great value in that when you compare it to other games where the total is in the 50s and 60s, and the variance is so much greater. Because if you just look at the history of Iowa State games, it's like 17-14, 13-10. So if you can get the dog, and you get the dog up to double digits, and you get the under 38, you should be laughing. So really, the bookmakers shouldn't even allow that teaser to be booked. But if they do, I'd take it.
I will tell you, when I did that study, that the one number that jumped out at me that seemed to be of the positive variety and was an exception to the rule was taking a team at +2.5 and including it in your teaser, only because you cross 3 key numbers. So if you do a 6-point tease on a +2.5, you're getting +8.5, and you're crossing 3, you're crossing 6, and you're crossing 7. So that number there is something, if indeed I was going to be enticed whatsoever, if you can get a couple of those 2.5s as a dog, even a 2 and a 2.5, that's something. If indeed you put a gun to my head and say you need to do a teaser today and you need to give me the best opportunity to win, that's would be my suggestion. But all in all, guys, I'm not for teasers and parlays. Short of calling you a sucker, if that's where you're betting every week, it's just not a wise idea. Okay. Let's see. Right Cap. Hey, buddy, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Look at that beard, man. That's a well-groomed beard right there. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick-like. I'll tease the NFL once in a while, never in other sports, though. Any comments, boys?
Yeah, I think that goes along with what I said. On the very rare occasion, where you find you get an advantage. I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Sean. There's no key numbers in college basketball or the NBA. So, do you find any use with teasers with college basketball and the NBA as well?
I don't think I've ever teased an NBA or a college basketball game in my life.
Okay, there
I don't
goes
think
your
I ever
answer.
have.
Thank you for chiming in, though, Rye. We appreciate it, buddy. Love the beard. Daily best bets with T Money. Good afternoon, Friday afternoon. T Money, glad you could join us today, buddy. Glad to hear from you. You got any opinions or comments on any games coming up? We're all ears.
T Money will hit us with a plus 440 money line underdog today or something.
That beats a minus 440 money line favorite.
Yes.
Wayne Hammonds joined. Thank you very much, Wayne. The only thing
is Twitter, Ross. It comes in when they join it says joined. I'm trying to figure out whether when they click on the link, because I had that mindset, I had no idea what it was. I'm like, what does join mean? I thought they're telling me. I don't know what it means because it's not in the comment section on Twitter.
I was thinking he joined in terms of the podcast, number one, possibly subscribing to the channel. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys know all the lingo these days.
I have no idea, but we're grateful, Wayne.
Yeah,
sorry that you're a Mets fan.
Wayne, thanks for coming aboard, and you're a Mets fan. It's not bad either. Daily bets with T Money. How about round robins? I mentioned this on last week's show, and I'll let Jesse and Sean chime in again. Look, if you're on a nice roll, I've used round robins in the past when I'm red hot. Okay. Yeah. That's an exception to the rule. Now, what I don't do, I'll never go beyond 3 teams, and I'll never use the 3-teamer because I want to be rest assured if I hit 2 out of 3, that I'm going to make a small profit. Okay. I don't want to win 2 of 3 games and have to pay a bookmaker. Okay. Yes. So a lot of you out there will try to go for the whole jackpot. You're defeating the purpose of using a round robin because what you want to assure yourself is making a profit if you at least hit 2 out of 3, because if you're a straight bettor and you don't hit 2 out of 3, you're not making a profit anyway. But Sean, I'll let you comment.
Yeah, I know. Round robin's the only way to go before it's parlay. Best way to go is 2-1, 3-team parlays. Yes. I can't go 3-1 or 5-1 and not make money. That's pain. It's hard to do. It's hard to go 5-1 straight up. Like, why wouldn't you want to get something out of it? Think of the round robin, please.
By the way, we're going to be discussing NFL games today between Philadelphia and Seattle. That's a Monday night game. I'll be looking at that. Jesse will be looking at Sunday night's intriguing matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then Sean will be looking at what's turning in to be the game of the week, at least during the early portion of Sunday's card, the Dallas and Buffalo game, which goes at 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. Very fishy line there, but I don't want to steal Sean's thunder. I'll let him talk about that. So stay tuned for that. We'll be getting to those shortly, folks. Dan once again is laughing, so I'm not sure what prompted his laughing, but I'm always glad when somebody's laughing and happy.
It had to be the teaser talk.
How are you feeling, Dan? Not sure what that means.
Maybe you got those mixed up. Maybe Dan's laughing at as the reply to.
Oh, I got you. Apparently he's feeling pretty good. Right, so
Ninja.
Ninja, there's your man, Sean. Is it great news?
I love the emoji. Like a crazy
what?
Marshmallow ready to kill people. He's like, you're not going to put me on a stick to make s'mores. I'm ready to fight.
I don't know why it took a pathetic performance like that last night, Ninja, for them to finally make that move. Because to me, that's been a long time coming. He's wasted a talented team for way too long. Meaning however long he's been there, which I believe this is his 3rd year. But Sean, I'll let you chime into this one.
Yeah, I mean, come on. This team was lose games they're supposed to win games they're supposed to lose, tie games they're supposed to win. Just bonehead decision making. Good riddance, man. This guy.
Yeah, Jesse.
Fourth and 3 from my own 26. We're gonna run a jet sweep double reverse.
I'm more. I agree with that more than I do waiting for them to be down 49-0 at the half against a team that's 5-7 and going nowhere like yourself in a division game.
From a betting standpoint, it would have been an excellent betting opportunity if they could have pulled this trigger a little bit sooner, but it's a little bit too late, too little too late. Do you really want to come back with the Chargers in their next game if Justin Herbert's gone? And
he's gone.
You know, yeah,
He's
I mean,
hurt. Too many injuries.
So too many injuries. Yeah, had they have pulled the trigger a week or two ago, it would have been an excellent betting opportunity to come back with the Chargers a week after they fired the coach. But unfortunately,
he should have been fired when he blew the tie. The Raiders are playing for the tie in that game when they would have made the playoffs if they tied, and then he makes a stupid decision to call timeout to lose the game. He called the timeout and he lost the game. They were going to the playoffs. He calls a timeout and they lose. He should have been fired.
That was one of many. That was just the culmination of one of many. And you referenced another case where he goes for it. He's done that on several occasions. He's actually bailed himself out a couple times by doing that. But, when you start making a habit of following the analytics on 4th and short from your own 25 in a tight game or a game you got the lead in the fourth quarter or even early in the game, I could tell you what you're going to be doing. You're going to be working with the people in the analytics. You keep making decisions like that.
Here's the thing, though, Russ. So I do not mind. I don't care if you're on maybe not on your own 15. Yeah. You can't get a half a yard in the NFL with 6'4" quarterbacks. You don't deserve to win the game anyway. If you can't get a half a yard.
I get that, but that wasn't the case on a few occasions.
Exactly. But I'm saying any kind of half-yard situation, how the heck can we just fall forward?
I'm talking the 4th and 2s and the 4th and 3s.
Oh, yeah.
That he's gone for in his own deep in his own territory at a crucial part of the game where he was either still in the game and had more than enough time to come back from a short lead or a short deficit, or he's protecting a lead. It just, to me, the guy he's a nitwit, and he deserves to be fired. Jesse, any take on other than that?
No, like I said, I just lament the fact that they didn't do it sooner, so we had a betting opportunity to back the Chargers with their interim coach, but it doesn't look like that's going to be something I'm going to look at. Given,
and if I'm a Chargers, a Chargers faithful or a Chargers fan, I would lament the fact it took you this long to make that move. Javier, how you doing, my man? Gentleman and Sean. Happy to catch the show. I'm glad that we're rubbing off here with these sets.
I love it, Javi.
Giving Sean a hard time or giving me a hard time, whatever it might be. Dan's telling you he's peachy, and it's always good to hear from Dan. Let's see, UConn versus Gonzaga, going to be a good game. Any opinions on this game? It's going to be a good one. How's that? I don't have a strong opinion on this game. I didn't use any college basketball tonight. I think that UConn is the better team in this matchup, and the line is indicative of that. I don't think this is the Gonzaga powerhouse teams, one of the Gonzaga powerhouse teams we've seen in the past, but they're still pretty damn good at that. But Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't want to lay it a 5. Well, I said 4 now. How about a first half UConn? Someone made a good comment that it's not a home game per se. This isn't their home court. It's down the road a little bit. It's not their backyard game, but I don't know. UConn's played a tough schedule, right? Who they got? North Carolina, Kentucky. They've played some elite teams. They got the one loss. They beat these guys pretty handily last year. I think their team is as good as better than last year's team. I think Gonzaga's taking a step back. I don't mind laying 4, but I'd rather do a first half bet here.
Yeah, Gonzaga played in the Maui tournament, which was a loaded field. So, I mean, look, you can never say that Gonzaga doesn't go out and stacks up their non-conference schedule with good opponents, because they always do. They're not one of those schools that goes into conference play with a 12-0 record and they haven't played anybody in the top 150 yet. So that's what I could say about that. But this line to me speaks volumes. It's not at Gonzaga's home court, correct, Sean? Yeah. It's not really a neutral site, but a bigger arena. So,
yes.
So there we go. Jesse, do you have any take on that?
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly about it, Ross. I think I like the dogs.
All right. So, all right. And again, I was going to say if
They're both dogs, Ross.
Yeah,
the
they're both
Bulldogs and the
dogs.
Huskies.
So if you
Yeah,
do,
that fell flat.
do you have a pick on this game? Yeah,
No,
one's a
I
Husky
don't.
and
But
one's a
but
Bulldog.
I like UConn. I think Gonzaga's taken a step back. The Huskies, the better team. Whether or not they'll cover the 5 points, I would 4 points. I'd lean that way.
All right, so welcome to the Winner's Circle Comedy Channel, where Sean Higgs has taught all of us how to joke about everything and how to give Ross a hard time, and that's okay because I've taught everybody how to break Sean's hump as well. Frillian Sendejo. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, sir, but we appreciate you coming in. What's the biggest difference between betting NFL and college football? I can't pick a winner in the NFL to save my life, but pick pretty well in college football. I would say right off the top, without even discussing another thing about specifics in terms of what the methods or handicapping style or handicapping methods you use on either sport. I would say right off the bat, well, first of all, on a college football Saturday, you're going to be getting anywhere from 50 to 60 games to choose from. On a NFL Sunday, which is the full slate, even without a bye week, there's always a Thursday and a Monday game. So you're looking at about 14 games to choose from. So right off the bat, in terms of sports betting, whenever you give someone who really follows it like ourselves more options, there's a better chance of us finding betting value. And even though you may be not on the level we are in terms of how deep we dig, or don't have the time that we have because we do this professionally and full time, I think some of that might be attributed to the fact there's more options for you in college football and there's more opportunities to find better value. But Sean, your take.
I don't know. I find I like NFL better, and not that, and it's just odd because it's opposite of what you say, right? It should be better to find a better line in college football than in NFL because the NFL lines, as you know, they're the sharpest of the sharp. They're the toughest lines in all sports, I think, to beat.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's just a limited amount of teams. It's 1 day a week, basically. You know, I know you have the Thursday, Monday, but it's just certain. There's 15 games, whatever it is. There you go. Everybody knows who the players are. You know everything about every guy, whatever's going on the field, off the field. But
parity in the NFL. You're not seeing the amount
college,
of double-digit favorites.
It's no shame to struggle in the NFL. A lot of people do it. I know guys who don't even do sides and totals anymore. They're like, you know what? I'm just going to go into the prop side of thing. It's too unpredictable. I mean, I had a 42.5 last night. There were 70 points. How many points were last night? 85 points. I mean, what is
63 to 21, 84
crazy
points. Yeah.
You know, where college is, you could find that edge. You could have it and be like, you know what? You follow a conference, you can get in depth. You know, you got your reporters, you got all your blogs. You could make, they're off. This total's off 4 points, 6 points. You could find it. It's there.
Yeah. I mean, and the other part of the equation is, and to put a negative spin on it, is the college game. Coaches and the institutions aren't as transparent when it comes to injuries and who's going to be available as they are in the NFL, which has a very strict policy in that regard. But Jesse, your take on this discussion?
Yeah, I mean the fact that you got so many more games to keep track of gives us more opportunities, but it also creates more opportunities for the bookmakers to make mistakes, prevents them from being on top of it and as sharp. And then you have the fact that they don't have to release injury information. That makes things tough in a way, but if you're connected, and like Sean said, you go to the local reporters, you read the local blogs, somebody somewhere attached to that school will have that information or will have something on that. And if you work hard enough and you dig deep enough, you can find things that perhaps the bookmakers haven't even got their hands on. And the bookmakers eventually will adjust the lines, but I think there's a window of time in college football that allows you to, if you're right on top of it, to get in before they make those changes.
So there you go. There's a couple tips from two gentlemen who do very well in both the NFL and college football. I do as well. And, we're not always going to have the same school of thought, but there's something you could take away from each one of us, which we've identified over the years, which is a very large sample size. So, all right, John Putnam, how you doing, John? It's hard to hit 3 games, much less 6 or 7. Come on. Yeah, it's hard to hit 1 game, John. And I know that sounds absurd coming from me, right? Because this is what we do professionally. But look it, man, it's hard to win a game, okay? If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, okay? Everybody would be sitting in the chairs we are right now. Everybody would have all the answers. It's hard to win a game, let alone 2 or 3, okay? And again, like Sean always tells you, where do I sign up to go 3-1 and have to pay somebody? Come on. So in any event, Jesse, I'll start with you on this one.
Well, I sat down the other day and I added up all my records going back 10 years with sides, totals, splitting it up into different sports. And, you're looking at 53%, 54%, 55%. I think the worst I had was 50% with sides in, can't remember what it was, and that was terrible. That you lose a lot of money hitting 50%, let me tell you. The best I had was 66% with college basketball money line plays, 66% for enormous profit. But yeah, you just go to any site that's transparent. You look at the leaderboards and you look at a large enough sample size, and the best in the world are hitting in that 55% neighborhood. And that gives you an indication of how difficult it is to win.
Yeah.
Well, you go 3-2 and you do that every day. You're the best. That makes you the best in the world.
Well, the problem is, Sean, is the precedent that's been set before us by some of the touts in this industry that tell people what they want to hear and not what's realistic. And like you've said on numerous occasions, you want to hit 55% as a volume handicapper and you're going to make a lot of money. And people will scoff at that.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, when you do the math and you do it, I mean, I'm not talking about 55% in a week. I'm not talking about 55% in a month. I'm talking about 55% or better over just a 1-year period of time even is going to make you a ton of money if you're doing this every day. So I just don't think that people fully grasp that. Now, I'm 59% for better than 4 months now, okay? And that, to me, I'm very proud of that run.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people would say, hey, come on, I could do that on my own.
Yeah, dude, that's nothing.
Well, so, Sean, you got I think you need to find out exactly what this means, because I think it's applicable to you in some way, shape, or form.
I don't know if they're on Twitter and if you join the chat, maybe it just pops in that they had joined. So it lets you know they joined, that they're watching and listening. I don't know. Thank you, Craig.
Do you have a clue about this or no?
I have no idea.
Okay. All right. So we'll try to figure that. I plan on buying a weekend plan to guide me a bit. Well, that would be a good idea. Again, I don't, Mr. Sendejo, how's that?
Fralin. Hey, Mr.
Yeah,
Sendejo.
I mean, if you could send me over what the pronunciation of your first name, I don't want to butcher it, so I'm going to call you Mr. Sendejo for now. And I mean, we got a $99 3-day package for any one of us right now, Mr. Sendejo. And also, right now we're running a special at the site you might want to take advantage of. It's a 7-day package, and normally $175, but we're giving you 15% off today until midnight. And you could get that when any one of our sports betting experts on the site, including us 3, and we'll give you our personal guarantee. If you don't make a profit over that period of time, we will credit your account back that exact amount of your purchase price, and you could use that on any handicapper and at any time you wish going forward. Again, that's just a security blanket. It's not meaning that we're not confident in our own ability, but we go above and beyond for our customers at this site. Derek, thanks for the insight, guys. Thank you, Derek. We appreciate you as well. All right, let's get into the free picks. All right, since we're a little slow here with the comments right now. And again, folks, we will be on for a while with you. We're only 30 minutes in. We'll be around for at least another 30 minutes. So we would encourage you highly to chime in with your questions and comments. And don't forget, before we get to our free picks, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take a second to do so. If you're on your PC, you'll see a WC logo in the bottom right-hand corner of your page. Just click on that. Absolutely free. No strings attached. No hidden agenda. And if you're on your smart TV or your mobile device, there's a black subscribe button right underneath your video box. You just click on that. That will get you subscribed. And if you have subscribed and you haven't done this, or if you're new and you're subscribing as we speak, take an extra couple seconds to go into your YouTube settings and click on that alert notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel. And you'll be notified immediately upon us publishing any of our podcasts, which there's 6 every week, and 1 live and 5 we do taped. But as soon as they get published and come up on the channel, you'll be notified immediately. So you don't have to keep checking back every day to see exactly what time and when they're going to be published. So again, let's get to the free picks. And Jesse, I really like this matchup. I got a side that I'm going to be using, so I have to reserve comment a little bit on this one. But this is really intriguing. Jacksonville and Baltimore. Jacksonville coming off that disappointing loss last week at Cleveland. And Baltimore, right now, they're in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed in the AFC. The line in this game right now is Baltimore is a 3-point favorite, and the total is 42. This game's being played in Jacksonville, so Baltimore being a road favorite here. Interesting to hear your take and then Sean's comments on this contest as well.
Well, Ross, I'm going to look at the total. We've talked a lot about the under trends, long-standing under, especially in primetime games, primetime unders hitting at a phenomenal rate. And, you know, we speculate that has these numbers artificially low, and eventually these kind of trends are going to even out. And I think we've started to see that in recent weeks. You think of Jacksonville and you think, oh, the weather's got to be pretty good. But apparently not this week. They're calling for some rain and wind. But I'm not really bothered by that. This is a low number in my opinion, 42.5. You look at how these teams have performed recently. The Baltimore defense has allowed 24 points per game in their last 4 overall. And they gave up 33 points in a loss to the Browns, 31 points in a win over the Rams. And Jacksonville's been scoring points too. They're off back-to-back losses, but they've averaged 29 points per game in their last 4 overall. You got a banged-up defense for the Ravens. And I just like both these teams to score in the 20s here. I think it should be a high enough scoring game to go over this rather low number. And I'm going to fade that primetime under trend and go over 42.5.
There you go. So Jacksonville and Baltimore under 42.5. Baltimore, especially if there's some over 42.5. Excuse me. Baltimore and Jacksonville, both highly capable offensive teams, even with the weather conditions. Baltimore with a very potent running game. So there seems to be some weather in Miami with the Jets game as well. So must be a Florida thing coming up this weekend. But any event, Sean, your take.
Yeah, I'm with him on the over here. I got a 39.5. So good number there. We'll see what happens. Doesn't mean it's a winner. I had a good number last night too on the total, but as Jesse said, give me 2 teams, both pretty good, decent offenses, and the Ravens defense last week. What was that about? I mean, I had the Ravens last week. I was not expecting them to be in some kind of crazy shootout like that to give up 30 points to the Rams on the road and bad weather. And we saw that was a rainy game too, so that didn't slow them down one bit. So I'm not worried about a little bit of a Florida rain that they usually get. So I'm with Jesse on this over.
All right. So the boys like this game to go over the total of 42.5. The official pick is on Jesse, which is Jacksonville and Baltimore over 42.5. All right, let's get to some more questions and comments before we get to the other 2 games. Let's see what we got here. Thanks for the insight. We already covered that. Sean, you know me. LOL.
That was for he was talking about his plus money dogs.
Yeah.
And look at his next comment.
Looking at St. Francis plus 240 and Cleveland State plus 350. I can die in those hills. I would much rather see somebody chime in with comments such as these, because at the end of the day, when you start betting the 240s and 350s, which are reasonable numbers, and to me, when it's 2 plus 240, 2 plus 350, there is still even though a small probability, there's a reasonable probability that you could win those games. And when you start betting numbers like this, like T Money does, you could hit less than 50% and make a lot of money.
Yes.
And I don't think people realize that as well. I mean,
like
I
baseball
wouldn't do
all
it,
over again.
but as I would welcome this type of thought process or mindset, as opposed to the guys who come in and want to bet 330s and minus 370s, or try to tell you that they hit 5 or 6 teamers. All right, Dan, Daily, here's another one. Juventus on the board 0-1, and I love that. Look around round robins. I do 3 to 5 games of dogs, sometimes with NFL and college, and it's been profitable, but the public wants 10, 20 team parlays. So I think why T is because you see so many of these posts on social media from some of the sports books that tell you this guy just needs the last leg of a 20-team parlay, which will pay $28,000, just trying to entice people, So I get what you're saying, but there's also a marketing ploy that goes along with that, because for every guy who's waiting on the last leg of a 20-team parlay, there is another 5,000 before him that were eliminated by the fourth leg of that 20-team parlay, or the second leg of that 20-team parlay. Again, get rich quick. It's exactly what it is. Derek chimes in. He's addressing John Putnam. I only ever do 2-team parlays. I know the 3, 4, 5-team ones are sucker bets. I'm just checking with the experts on their thoughts. To me, 2-team parlays are a sucker bet too, Derek, with no offense taken, but it certainly beats the alternative of a 3, 4, or 5-teamer. Guys, anything you want to chime in there?
I'm going to say he had an earlier comment you went over about he says, if I'm placing $100 wagers, Derek says, what is an optimal bankroll to start with? I'm going to say 10,000.
If you're placing $100 wagers,
I'm saying 10 dimes.
I would say 3 dimes would be sufficient, because you're betting 3% of your bankroll on every pick. Let's put it this way. You would have to go 0-28 to dissipate that bankroll. I'm one of those guys that likes to think long-term. Now, $100 a game with Sean, why he's saying 10,000 is because he's a volume player. Okay. If you're a guy playing 3, 4, 5 games a day on a weekend, maybe chiming in on 10 a week from Monday through Friday, I think 3 dimes would be a sufficient bankroll. But if you're purchasing and following a guy like Sean, so you don't go in panic mode if you get off to a bad start with him, 10,000 is a reasonable bankroll. And again, Sean, I'll let you chime in, because you know exactly where I'm going with this when I say that.
Yeah, and people think I'm not going to go 3 and 15. Not just me, just in general. Like you have a bad run, whether you're 2 and 6. Either you guys can have a 2 and 7 run. You're like, wow, 2 and 7 is terrible. Well, your 2 and 7 run is 7 and 24 for me, or 7 and 30.
Yeah.
So again, you talk about the 10-leggers, 20-team parlays, T Money brought up. That's what people think. Like, oh, you can't lose, and you're going to win the next game.
Yeah.
Slow and steady wins the race. This is not a get rich quick. This is not.
It's a grind,
like
man.
That.
It's a grind, like you always say. You said that from the get-go, even as a volume handicapper, even what me and Jesse do in terms of volume. It's a grind.
It's still a grind. There's no difference between our 2 grinds. I'm a little more action. You guys a little more focused. I'm more like, I'm not picking. I like these 10. It's going to be 10, and let the chips fall where they may. We go 8 and 2. We go 3 and 6. If I picked 4 of them, I could still go 2 and 2. It's still, Money
Jesse,
management, like life, right? Why are you going to go out and pay $9.99 for your milk when the milk next to it's $3.49? What are you doing?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, unless there's a discernible difference in quality or what
Yeah,
specifically
well, you
you're
know what I'm
looking
saying,
for.
Ross. I'm just saying.
No, I
people
know
don't-
exactly what you're saying, Jesse.
There's money management. You just have
I
to
think
have
you're both
in general.
right, but I think you got to balance what the right thing to do is, and what when you tell people this is what you should do with your bankroll and this is how much you should bet per game, you got to be realistic about what they're actually going to do. Because guys that have, if a guy has a 3-dime bankroll, and that means by what Sean's saying is his bet size should be about $40. You think that guy's going to do that? He's not. He's going to bet $100 because that's what he wants to do. So you got to
That's
give
your
them
brain.
instructions. You got to give them instructions that they can follow, I think.
But that's the wiring, Jesse. They don't look at it as winning $40. They're losing 60 because they didn't bet 100.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, if you use the 3 to 5% equation, meaning 3 to 5%, you don't exceed 5%, you at least play 3% on your total gambling bankroll. When I say gambling bankroll, folks, you need to put this money aside. It's not your mortgage money. It's not your gas and electric bill. It's not your kids' tuition fund. It's money that, God forbid, you lose every cent of it. Your quality of life is not going to change tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. So having said that, where I came up with the $100 a game and a $3,000 bankroll for that gentleman is based on the amount of picks I put out per week or amount of bets I make per week. And everybody has a different philosophy with this. Now, where you may get confused is if you go to gamblersworld.net, you notice our plays are rated 2-unit, 3-unit, 4-unit, 5-unit, or 10-unit. So just keep this in mind, folks. We're only allowed to use 6 5-unit picks per month. We're only allowed to use 2 10-unit picks per month. So the majority of picks that you're going to get from us are between 2 and 4%. Now, if indeed you follow that concept, you have to come up with a comfortable number that you bet per unit. Now that takes on a whole different equation in terms of what we're talking about a gambling bankroll is. And so just keep that in mind. When you see, when you go to the leaderboards, let me go there right now to give you an example. If you go to the leaderboards right now, for example, where are we here? Sean is number 2 over the last 60 days in all sports. Okay. He's 207 and 175, and he's up $3,906. What that tells you is you're betting $100 per unit. So if Sean gives you a 2-unit play, it's a $200 bet. If he gives you a 5-unit play, one of his 6 a month, you got to be willing to bet a nickel. So sometimes $100 per unit or $100 per play is not going to work with this formula. Okay. Again, I go to myself, 216 and 169 since the site started. I'm up $8,354. I could tell you right now, I'm even though I'm up that amount of money and doing that well and number 1 at the site since that started, you could see the difference between me and Sean in terms of the win-loss percentage, which mine is higher, but he's hit on his bigger plays where I haven't hit at that rate like he has. So, Jesse, any thoughts when it comes to that type of mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like I said, guys are going to want to bet bigger than they should. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. In a lot of ways, I feel like sometimes we give advice and we just know that the guys aren't going to follow it. So
look, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And I can tell you over the years, Jesse, I can't tell you how many discussions with clients, and I beat my head up against the wall, but I just came to realize there's no sense of getting frustrated because no matter how much you school them in terms of discipline and whatever, they're not going to follow your instructions. And it's the biggest fault of sports bettors, and why they're not successful with people like us is because they get impatient. Sean has a bad week, they jump to another handicapper. Okay. Then Sean goes 31 and 14. the next 7 days. And you didn't prosper from that because you were looking for instant success and had no patience. Jesse gets down $700 at $100 per unit, and you automatically panic and go to Sean and then start betting $1,000 a unit to try to get even. And Sean has a bad day. So, I mean, you have to have discipline and you have to stick with 1, 2, maybe even 3 guys. There's nothing wrong with taking advice from more than one handicapper. There's nothing wrong at all. That's why you're watching this show. You're trying to take the best from all of us. And as you can see, we disagree on some games sometimes and some philosophies. So again, Jesse, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you want to finish your thought?
Yeah, I guess I try to give advice that I think that people are going to follow. And sometimes that means, knowing that they're going to bet $100 a game when they probably shouldn't, but thinking that that's the lesser of two evils, because if you lose them, they're going to bet 400 or 500 and they really shouldn't be betting that much. Like Sean, I think you should have a pretty significant bankroll to be betting $100 a game, but a couple grand, $2-3 that's probably what these guys are going to do anyways. So I'm not going to try and talk them down off that ledge because.
And let's be honest, Ross, this ain't the 80s. These cats, people, they're just going to load it up on their credit card. They lose anyway. They don't care.
Yeah.
It's not like, I got to pay the man at the end of the week. I got to come up with cash money in my hand. It ain't like that.
Yeah, when you're doing any one of us, we're not going to tell you that we got a special game and you've been betting $100 a game and we profess this strict money management, and all of a sudden we're going to tell you to bet 10 dimes. It's when you hear that, you need to scatter very quickly.
Put a little bit more on something if it's our big game.
Yeah, my philosophy,
more, another extra unit, a half unit.
Where the 5 and 10 unit plays come in, right? Because we're only using 6 of those 5s and 2 of those 10s a month. That gives you the opportunity to bet a little more. Okay. Now you have to come up with a comfortable figure you're betting per unit in this particular instance when you use the grading form that we use at our site. So again, folks, whatever the case may be, you should never exceed more than 3 to 5% of your entire bankroll on any one bet. We both have a little different mindsets. We all have a little different mindsets in terms of how to determine a bankroll and what to bet per game. But all of us, I would say, have an intelligent way in which we approach that, in which we advise. All right, Derek, another one. I don't know how other teams can't perfect the tush push the way Philly does. They should just call it first and Philly with less than 2 yards to go. Yeah. Again, I think that if everybody perfected it, we would see a rule change next year, because why even run the play if it's that automatic? I think that Philly has got it down to a science because they have very good interior linemen on the offensive line, being their center, who's a constant all-pro, 2 very good guards, a quarterback that goes, I believe Jalen Hurts is 240 or so, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's a big cat. And then the people behind him that are doing the push and execution. They execute it better than anybody. But I myself, it sort of took the fun away for me when you watch a Philly game, knowing there's very little chance, if any chance at all, you're going to stop them on 4th and 1. Sean?
I think if every team does this and gets good at it, like, is this the league that everybody wants to see? A bunch of let's just move. I think you just start put quarterbacks back there, and we're just running every play is a rushing for 4 yards, 5 yards. Who wants to see?
Be like the Army-Navy game.
Oh my goodness! I mean, I saw Mar's comment here. He wants to know about the Rams game. I like the over, Mar. I like the over in that game. Washington out of a bye week, whole season. This is it. They'll probably put some points on. I like the Rams team total over 27.5 as well.
Yeah, Washington can't stop anybody. I got to play in that Cal game tomorrow. It's up on the site right now, so I'm going to reserve comment on that. You guys, what do you think of that matchup?
Looks like Texas Tech's got a lot of guys in the portal. I'd lean Cal.
Yep. Sean, we talked about this earlier this week.
Yeah. I have it up. I don't care. I'll tell you, I got Tech. got the over.
All right. So
Doesn't
there
make a
you have
difference. I can give you a game because I got 30 bowl games, so it doesn't matter. I give you one. I don't mind.
I don't have quite as many, so I have to be reserved with my comment, and I do this for a living. And yeah, I mean, Sean's got.
I got 3 other packages up besides that game. So.
Yeah, so it's always good. Like we list our picks at the site. Whoever's doing the best over a 30-day period, and that changes from day to day because it always goes back 30 days. That's who gets listed on top. And God help us all when Sean is number 1 over a 30-day period because he's got 30 packages up, and you got to go scroll way, way down before you get to anybody else.
But the good thing, I don't put them up too early. I only put a cut. Like I don't have anything up for Sunday.
He gets his picks up for you who subscribe with him. He gets his picks up early.
They're early. They're ahead of time.
Then
days
he
and
puts
days.
his packages up later in the week. So in his defense. All right.
And some days I don't even put packages up. I just have one thing up for everybody. So
Jesse, any thoughts on the Commanders game?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I like the over in that game.
Yeah, I don't have. I'm not sure I like the over on that game. I'm not sure I could pull the trigger on the Commanders, and I'm sure that the Rams are going to get a lot of the money. I think there's better games on the board to attack, in my opinion, and we'll see. All right, I don't know.
Ross, I want to lead. We're talking about people how they bet, and I've read it before. My little article this is from March 22nd, 2002, before probably kids in this chat were even born. Some of these people. It says gamblers have better with the brains. If a gambler loses, the brain seems hardwired to make a riskier bet in the next few seconds, researchers said. The assumption of economists has long been that people are pretty rational, said psychologist William Gehring, who led the study at University of Michigan. But he added, that is not the case. After a loss, the brain thinks it's due for a win.
Yeah.
That is why people will never, the average person, will take years to get to our level unless they're really special because they're just going to bet what they want to bet.
And emotions come into play.
Yes. Oh, I got it back.
That's the biggest thing that I had to overcome early in my career and when I first started sports betting was leaving the emotion out of it. Now, look, we've all had bad beats.
Yes.
And we get pissed off, throw things, or whatever, however you react to a bad beat. But you got to get over it and move on because like I said to you guys on numerous occasions, you've heard it many times. I'll probably say it many times more. You almost have to be like a doctor in a hospital. If one patient dies on you, you can't get emotional when you go to the next patient in the next room because it clouds your thinking and your decision process.
It's not your fault. You were sick when you got there. You did your best.
Well, exactly. But gamblers, I think when it comes to that article you just mentioned and the professor who made the comment about most human beings are rational, I would think that sports bettors, sports gamblers in particular, don't fall into that category. Majority of them, from my experience. And I don't mean that as any disrespect to any of you out there, but unless you do this daily and it's your life's work, it takes a long time to really condition yourself to that. Correct, Jesse, or no?
Absolutely. I think it takes a certain kind of person, though. The mentality of hating to lose, ultra competitive helps. And I think people that are cheap don't like losing money. So they find themselves losing money and they figure out pretty quickly a way to prevent themselves from losing money any further. So, I mean, some people I think can chase bets and increase their bet size and thinking they're due. But I think a really, really cheap person is going to figure out a way to prevent that from happening.
And I can tell you the guys that are the best at this live betting concept that's come into play over the last couple of years are guys who are very successful in the stock market, the daily traders, the guys who are watching the board all day long and know when to pull the trigger and when not to. And I'm prefacing that by saying successful because not everybody who does that in the stock market is successful. And there's a heck of a lot more that aren't that are. So let me say that. The Zags team is talented, but they don't play well for 40 minutes. I think that speaks to depth, number one, and the quality of talent they have as compared to past years. Double dog, eh? LOL. Now there's a guy. Now I got to know that Derek, you got to be from Canada because you threw the A in there. So all you got to do is follow Jesse's lead and pronounce process, which he insists he doesn't do. And I will tell him to go back to 2 videos ago when he brought it up twice and pronounced it process. All right. My LA Clippers in the under, LA Chargers in the under was shot after the Chargers' second fumble. My crystal ball was definitely not working on that pick. I would say it was more that your crystal ball dropped after that pick. Love it. Thank you, guys. You're very welcome, Mr. Zendeo. John, I was referring to parlays. Ross, Sean helped me out. I can't recall why he's bringing this up.
It says Hearts hit 3 games, much less 6 or 7. He was saying,
right? Okay. So,
like that.
And my thing is 2-team parlays are definitely a better alternative than 3, 4, 5, and 6-team parlays, but it's still a sucker bet, John, is what I was saying. I don't think I missed your point. I think you were looking for me to say that 2-teamers are smart and 3 and 4 and 5 aren't. None of them are smart, but given the alternative of comparing 2 as opposed to 3 or more, yes, I guess you could say that's a smarter option, if that. Frylon, I have no idea what that means.
That's how you pronounce his name.
What's that?
His pronunciation of his name.
Oh, Frylon. I'm sorry. Frylon Zendeo. Thank you, Mr. Zendeo. Now I know how to pronounce your name because there's nothing worse than mispronouncing somebody's name. Sean, got to get an idea on UNC Kentucky tomorrow. This is coming from John.
I like Carolina. I've changed my mind on my tune on Carolina has changed.
Yeah.
I was down a little bit. I like them.
They're one of the more entertaining teams I've watched this year, Kentucky. They're young, they're athletic, they love to get up and down, and it makes for good entertainment, but not always a good bet, especially when they're laying points. Fry like French fry, the lawn milk. Okay, thank you, buddy. What else we got here? Daniel Kraus. Daniel, thank you for chiming in. I think you're a first time. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think Daniel's chiming in for the first time. Yeah. How do you guys feel about the Bears this Sunday? I think they're getting way too much love for my liking, be honest with you. I know that they played now 4 strong games in a row. They've won 3 of their last 4, and arguably they should have won the game at Detroit as well. They just folded their tent in the last 3 minutes of that game, but I'll let you talk on this one, Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any expectations for Joe Flacco, but man, has he surprised. So yeah, I would lean the home team here. I don't like the Bears.
Yeah, Sean?
I agree. I'll tell you, I said this before. I said I like the Bears next week against Arizona in Chicago. Sign me up for some Windy City Bears next week. This week, no.
How surprised are you about Flacco?
Yeah. But how is this? This is more an indictment of just kind of like the young quarterbacks not being developed properly and a veteran coming in and just being able to exploit a.
Yeah, listen, you only need a game manager for when you have a defense like the Browns.
Yeah. And
they did not have a game manager after Deshaun Watson went down. You're turned into a rookie quarterback. You're turned into a vagabond type of quarterback and PJ Walker. No disrespect intended, but he's not going to land you in the promised land. Joe Flacco's won a Super Bowl. Okay. I know that he hasn't lived up to his contracts that he's received after that. And he's never had the type of season that paralleled that one when the Ravens got to the Super Bowl and won. However, he's your best option right now. And I will say this too. You look at Cleveland's defensive statistics. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to mention it again. They're very impressive, but they're night and day at home as opposed to on the road. Now, are they terrible on the road? No, but they're very, very average to below average defensively on the road. At home, they're allowing 12 points a game. They allowed 27 to Jacksonville last week because they turned the ball over 3 times and gave them a couple short fields. But they held them to less than 300 yards of offense. fading Cleveland at home is a very tough proposition right now for me. Because of how well they played defensively and the fact that I believe they're 6-1 at home, and their only loss was to Baltimore when they had to have the rookie start that game, and he was terrible. CTR or whatever his name is. Is that what
DTR?
DTR, CPR, whatever. Gives
It's,
you a heart
again,
attack.
it's a good spot for them. Off
the
bad
man,
game,
the
the Bears off.
Hey, Frankie, how are you, buddy? Happy holidays to you, and we all wish you a happy holidays. CJ Stroud officially out for concussion protocol. Well, I don't know. I mean, again, he's been in concussion protocol the whole time. I don't know if from what I read yesterday, he's not officially ruled out of the game.
He's out. It's up to 4 now, so he's gone.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that would indicate to me he's out. And I think that the line where it was prior to that announcement today, I'm assuming, the line dictated he was highly unlikely to play to start with, because why else would you be a 3-point dog as of yesterday?
Hold on. How about the Titans were a 3.5-point dog at the start?
Yeah.
So
I got a video pinned on my Twitter. I took the Texans and I said, I don't care if Davis Mills plays, because he won with the Texans in Tennessee last year.
Let's not forget. You know what? Here's a better thing, Jesse. The Texans are 6-1 straight up in ATS and division road games since 2021. Who was their starter in the previous 2 years prior to CJ Stroud coming aboard? Davis Mills.
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And the other option is Case Keenum. He's not a bad backup option either. So, yeah, I mean, is Houston better with CJ Stroud? Absolutely.
I was like, don't draft CJ Stroud because you got Davis Mills. Put some talent around Davis Mills. Now, Stroud had a great rookie season, but
you know what?
Games.
I'd expect this line to have a bit of a bump today. The news comes out, it goes up 4.5 maybe. But I think as it gets closer down to game reality, you'll set it'll come right back down to 3.5, because people will sharp money will say CJ Stroud, Davis Mills. There's some separation there, but not as much as people want to make it out to be.
Well, you're going to get the hook, and you're playing a Tennessee offense that's not that great. You know,
and Mike Vrabel, who's ultra conservative and doesn't care if he wins by 1 or 10.
Exactly. So the any points you get there is worth it. But you got what's the names? The 2 receivers are out too for Tennessee.
That's the other thing. They're banged up.
They were
one kid that was having a phenomenal Tank Dell.
Yeah, he's out. That guy Tank Dell's out. But the other kid, Nico Collins
got hurt last week.
Yeah.
So they're a little shorthanded when it comes to that. But I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I think they'll run the ball okay. It'll open up some play action, passing opportunities. And, of course, the line, I mean, with those players being out, like I always like to say, it's baked into the line, okay? And if you had any doubts, I think I wrote something on this game yesterday and said that if you have any doubts whether CJ Stroud's going to play, I would look at, if you grabbed it at 3 even, I liked it at 3. Okay, let alone 4.5. I was assuming that he wasn't going to play with that line being where it was. Now, magically, if CJ Stroud decides he's going to play on Friday, which is today, that line's not going to be 3. So, I think we're all saying the same thing. This is his name is Roger Long. This guy. 2 days ago, my weekend went 5 of 6 on singles, a 6-team teaser. Denver under, and then he names off all the team standard stuff. Fact, teasing through 0. Do what you wish with that.
Listen, I know people say don't tease through 0. I don't. You want to go tease through 0? I don't mind if you're going that way.
But this is the same guy, okay? And this is probably a bad example. Now he's going to teasers. You know what he said before then, Sean? He said that he's made a living on 5 and 6 teamers for the last 20 years on parlay cards. Now, you and me both know from doing this a long time, parlay cards back in Jersey and Western New York, you're not, there's no money lines involved. There's no first half betting.
Yeah.
The totals usually, they'll give you if the total is 43, they'll make the under 41 and the over 45.
Yeah.
Okay. So it falls in the
It's
middle,
like 41
everybody
and
loses.
44. There's a gap
Yeah,
between
exactly.
them. Yes.
So please stop, people.
Well,
okay.
You know what? Hold on, Ross. I'm a sucker when I'd go to like Monmouth Park, whatever. They had the little cards.
Yeah.
I'd look for them in AC because they have the bad lines because they post them early. So if he's going in and sniping out some bad lines, he might make some money on that. That's possible.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that's not. But again, the
he's going
volume
back-
of it, which you got to get down
Yeah.
on it, is.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Sean. Do you go into any chats, forums, comment sections and say, I win, yada, yada, I win with this much, and I'm the number one NFL handicapper in the world, and then don't provide any link or any verification?
Well,
just expect people to take your word for it? Are you in the habit of doing that?
Yeah, but listen,
we call this so-called professionals. So-called.
I don't believe people when they post tickets. That's nonsense. You know, like there's a lot of fake nonsense.
Here's
like
the
I post tickets. I don't post tickets because if you see me in person, I got 30 grand on me in a casino.
Yeah.
You know?
There's no such thing as a pro if he doesn't win, number one, and he's not documented by an independent source. All three of us and everybody on the site at gamblersworld.net is on several different sites across the internet. We all use the same picks on every site, with the exception, as Jesse has told you on many occasions, where there might be a small disparity in the records from one site to another because you got a half a point less or half a point more or something along those lines where it creates a winner instead of a push, a loser instead of a push, a loser instead of a winner. They're pretty consistent. Okay. So why I have no patience and why these gentlemen have little patience when it comes to people chiming in with these, I have gone 65% since 2007 is how do we know that? Okay. When I say I hit 59% over the last 4+ months, I could give you 4 sites you can go to that can confirm that. Okay. It's not, the whole world isn't a conspiracy, folks. All right. Jesse, if Sean says he was number one in the NFL and is number one in the NFL and college football this year, or in number one overall NFL college football combined, I can give you sites that can confirm that. When you tell us, like this idiot, excuse me, as you well know, folks, I am outspoken. I don't care who I offend when they're disrespectful. Okay. When this idiot tells you he's made a living on 5, 6, and 7 teamers, show me where. Because people like that, you know what their favorite monitoring site is when they make claims like that? It's because I told you so.com. Don't look that up because it doesn't exist. But
as far as I'm concerned, if you got a guy that you've never heard of and you see him posting on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and he's posting pictures of tickets, that's an indication of a fraud to me. And a lot of people look, oh, he's showing the tickets. He's got to be real. But to me, I can go and buy tickets on both sides. I can go place 10 bets, separate the winners, and show the tickets. That doesn't mean that's proof of absolutely nothing.
When
it's
Paul Bovey shows me a ticket, and when Paul Bovey puts a ticket that he's just bet 5 or 10 dimes on a game, I know that's true. Why? Because A, he's documented all on every site he's on.
He's been around for 20 years. You know he's real.
He's been doing this for longer than I have, or any one of us have. And I know the who's who of everybody in this business. And it's general consensus that Paul is the real deal. Like I said, he's a real live wise guy. And I'm not talking about a mobster. I'm talking about a wise guy sports bettor that bets a lot of money. And he's even better on the horses than he is in football. So I believe people like that because they've established a credibility with me. Okay. The only way you're going to establish credibility with me is to show me more than a small sample size. And over a long period of time, you've had success and it's documented and monitored by a credible source that's independent. Okay. You have no ties to. Okay. And you guys know what I'm talking about with that when we're talking about independent, because there's a lot of sites out there where whoever's running the site is running 2 or 3 ghost handicappers. And if nobody's buying, they're making sure that guy won that day, because nobody could say, wait a minute, you won? I paid you and you lost. There's a lot of shenanigans that goes on in that regard. All right. We've touched a lot upon that, and probably spent way too much time on that. So let's get to the free pick between Dallas and Buffalo that Sean's going to cover, and I'm very anxious to hear his take here. Right now, the Buffalo Bills, a 2-point favorite here. The total 50.5. Jumped off the board at me, Sean, because, again, we have a high-powered Dallas offense. They've been blowing a lot of people out. They've looked awfully impressive. You can make a case that they're playing the best of anybody in the NFL right now, and they're a 2-point dog at a team that's had their fair share of troubles this year and is only 7-6. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, so this is kind of a tough one, right? Because you have 2 teams off of big wins. And I was all over the Bills last week. We talked about them, their statement, their season. They got to come in here. And they did. They look good for a half. I'd make, I know, let's be honest, you're going to be a little biased towards Buffalo. I'm going to be a little biased towards Dallas here. I have to like Dallas. I know they're off a big win themselves, but that game could have been 45-17. That was the second half was done playing where Buffalo couldn't do anything in a game. They jumped 14-0. Like, man, I had an alternate. I had a couple of Buffalo wins between like 1 and 6 points and 7 and 13 points. I'm like, I'm going to lose both of these because this game's going to be 36-10.
Yeah.
What happened? I'm still worried about Buffalo. I will look at.
Well, how about the week before that? I mean, they had a bye the week before, but the game before that, Philadelphia, they're winning 17-7 at the half, outplaying them completely, and end up losing the game in overtime. So
I'm going to look at the over here. 51 was it? 50 was it?
50.5.
I'm going to go over because I think Buffalo, again, you're in a spot where we have to score here to beat Dallas because I don't think Buffalo has a good defense. Kansas City offense, we've been talking about this since opening day. I said take the under against the Lions. That's a solid defense. Dallas is a solid defense as well, but off of what they just had, typical Dallas, no matter who their head coach is, no matter how well they're playing, they're going to come lay an egg and they'll be like, here comes we saw it in Arizona. It'll be a scoring game, much like the Philly game. Again, Buffalo, let's go, guys. We got to get some points. We got to win. Must win for them. Dallas can afford to lose. They're going to put up points. Dak's been as good as or better than anybody the last few weeks. Go over the total here. I mean, you're up there. Are we got blizzard-like conditions? No, right? It should be all right. Regular.
Yeah, it's going to be rainy and windy. So it's not the ideal conditions by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, all right. Then good to know. So we'll see how this transpires. If it's a crazy wind game, you're going to know because the line will start plummeting pretty soon. Maybe tomorrow will start moving if the weather's going to be that bad. But as of now, I like the over because
it could come down to a field goal kicker. It could come down.
I'm just saying for the total, if it's windy, we're not going to be throwing Dak's not going to be chucking it down the field all the time. It's going to be, here come, look at some Josh Allen rush props and Dak to take off and turn into an ugly game if it's going to be that bad weather-wise. But
I've seen Buffalo throw more bubble screens and screen passes this year in short routes than I have at any other year that Josh Allen's been the starting quarterback. And I think that speaks to the new offensive coordinator right now, Joe Brady. That seems to be even more apparent now. But in any event, just to keep in mind, Dallas has been unbelievable at home, but very beatable on the road. Let's put it that way. They're not terrible on the road by any stretch. I think they're 7-0 at home and 3-3 on the road, if I'm not mistaken, Sean.
You lost to the Eagles on the road. You lost to the Niners on the road. You lost to Arizona.
Yeah,
you lose to the Eagles and Niners. That's accepable.
Everybody had a nail in the coffin for the Bills a couple weeks ago, especially after the Philadelphia lost, the Eagles lost, excuse me. And now they're 7-6, and lo and behold, Jesse, they're going to have to play with a lot of urgency here because as opposed to Dallas that's fighting for a number 1 seed and a division crown, which is still going to be hard to overcome because of Philly's soft schedule. But the way the Eagles are playing, you never know. But, if Buffalo gets by Dallas, and again, I don't like to look too far ahead, then they got the following week, they got the Chargers on a Saturday night. All of a sudden, that game looked real tough a few weeks ago. Right now, they're a 9.5-point favorite, early line. Then the week after that, they got New England at home. So all of a sudden now, things get real interesting. Miami loses to Tennessee. Miami should beat the Jets this week, even though that line has came down a lot. And Miami's got Baltimore left and one other tough game.
They got Dallas next week.
So, and in the final week of the season, the Bills play Miami. So if the Bills are only one game behind Miami going into that final week, and they already beat Miami at home, they win that game, they win the division. Now, that's really being really optimistic, okay? They got to get by Dallas first, and that's going to be a tough chore, Jesse.
I don't think so. I like Buffalo. As good as Dallas looks, flying high, they look unbeatable. Strength of schedule, though. I mean, you look at the teams they beat. They've been beaten up on teams like the Giants, and even Philly. They beat up on a great Philly team, but they caught Philly at the opportune time. Philly was 10-1, 10-2. The wheels had started to fall off, so they weren't getting the best version of Philly. Sean mentioned the teams they lost to on the road: Dallas, Philly, San Francisco, and Arizona. How about the teams they beat? Their 3 road wins: the Chargers, the Giants, Carolina. That's not that impressive. And then you got an indoor team coming from a warm climate, playing on the road in December in Buffalo. Buffalo, much better home team than they are a road team. Desperate. If they can win on the road in Kansas City, they sure as hell can come home and take advantage of a fat and sassy Dallas team that, starting to like their own smell too much. I mean, that Dallas locker room's got to be full of bravado and, walking like this and, liking their own smell too much. Definitely due for a letdown. I don't care if Sean Higgs likes the Cowboys. I'm going with Buffalo.
There you go, Jesse, a man after my own heart. Again, the Bills 7-6, but the 6 losses come by a combined 26 points. All 6 losses came by 6 points or fewer. Now they had some bad losses in there. Okay, you can't win. You can't cry about where you are in the standings right now if you lose at New England. Okay, you can't cry about where you are in the standings right now if you lose to Denver at home. You can't cry about where you are in the standings when you gave the Philadelphia game away, losing the game after getting 500 yards of total offense and losing in overtime. So, again, they got their work cut out for them. But this line, to me, it jumped out at me. And I even talked to Chip. I said, from an objective standpoint, does this seem strange to you? Because, you look at the plight of these two teams this year, and I would be more inclined to think that I was going to see Dallas as a 1 or 2 or 2.5 point favorite himself, let alone an underdog. But we'll see. Sean's been pretty good in the NFL this year, so it's not like I'm going to throw daggers at him for making this pick. Thanks for the great content, helping me power through the end of my work week. Have a great weekend, guys. Kyle, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you, my man, more than you think. There's my man. Stop geoengineering. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good luck to you today and this weekend. And we wish the same to you, my friend. So thank you for chiming in there. Seth, also, do you have any thoughts on MCB, Memphis versus Clemson, men's college basketball, Memphis versus Clemson? What's the line in that game right now, Sean?
Sean Frozen?
Yeah, he's looking for the line, I think. How many millions of dollars are the books putting into advertising and pushing these SGPs? There's a right way and a wrong way to do them, that's for sure. That's wiser words have never been spoken, my man.
I don't know if there's a line out for that game yet.
Yeah, it's early. Yeah, it's early. I'm guilty, Jesse. I get crazy with it. And I think that's referring to...
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Is that referring to the money?
That's
management?
Money management, yeah.
Yeah, we all are at times. Okay, ask Higgs how many shows I've joined of his live this past year. 100 plus. how many uploads I've watched from Ross, Jesse, taking this shit seriously and taking notes every time I get a chance to listen. Well, thank you, sir. Comments like that is what keeps us going, because like I've said, and I will continue to say, the theme of our program has always been not only to give you free pick winners, okay, but to listen to the analysis on why we like that particular pick on that particular day. And then also our other discussions like we have today on money management. We want to make you a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday. And that implies to you watching every day, okay? Just because you watch every day, we still have the same goal in mind. Because I know when I talk to Jesse and Sean, when I talk to Chip Chirimis, when I talk to Doug Upstone, and when I talk to Paul Bovey, I pick up something from these guys every day. The minute you think you know everything in this industry is the minute you become stale. Anything, I mean, I don't know if you guys agree with me on that, but that's certainly my take, and it always will be.
I think we all learn something when we disagree on a side or a total, and we start to debate about it. I think there's tons of value in that, because if you go into this trying to bet games and you think it's going to be easy and we're all going to agree and pat each other on the back and we're all going to be rich, you're kidding yourself. It's tough. There's always different angles and different sides that you might not have seen that somebody might turn you on to. And I think a healthy disagreement and debate about different ways to do this, different ways to tackle this business is always good for all of us.
Absolutely. Yep. Sean, any take on that?
Yeah. I was frozen for a second. So what Jesse was saying is how we just, Gio saying how we just talk about
Memphis. The guy asked about Clemson and Memphis college basketball tomorrow.
I like Memphis. That's what I got.
Okay. Is there a line out yet? There should be at this time.
I think it's Memphis 1.5.
And I'm assuming Memphis is at home.
This is a neutral. I think is this a neutral game? No, Memphis is home.
A neutral.
Memphis is home. Memphis is home.
Yeah.
There's a lot of you got a lot of neutrals. You got a lot of big matchups tomorrow.
You got an undefeated Clemson team that plays in a Power 5 conference against a Memphis team that's got a couple losses this year, is unranked. And if Memphis is the favorite here, that should tell you something right there, I would think. Jesse, any thoughts in that regard?
Have not looked into it yet.
Okay.
Still waiting for the lines to hit the board for me.
Okay. Sean's pretty good at that, coming out with a line. And if you ever get confused and you want to look at what a line possibly may be 2 or 3 days in advance, I would highly advise going to kenpom.com. And once
$25, join the guy's site.
Yeah, it's $20 or whatever.
First, I join it. It's one just so I could, have a. There's so many games you need a little bit of leadway coming through, especially during football season.
And I'm telling you, the reason why I've been so good with college basketball totals over the last 2 years is because of the analytics at KenPom.
Yeah,
I get a lot out of that. That's me, okay? But again, I do it for a living, folks. So I try to master everything that I look at there. And but what I'm trying to say, they have a portion. It's called Fan Match. If you click on Fan Match once you subscribe, it gives you predictive college scores, okay, on each game. Yep. And he does it, in advance. I mean, you could look at what's going on a Saturday card, and he's got the scores, the predicted scores used by his, whatever method he uses to come up with those scores. And I'm telling you, it's pretty accurate. If he likes a team by 7 and he likes the game to have a combined 148 points, I can guarantee he's right in the ballpark when that line comes out.
That line. It's funny because now a lot of people just copy and paste that and put them up at the books. Before, it was like if you had that, you were beating those lines. They were always like 2 or 3, and then they'd adjust to people. I guess for just betting the KenPom numbers because it's all numbers. Like you said, it's all analytic. It has his.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
It factors in strength of schedule. It factors in how a team plays in terms of tempo and pace. It factors in 2-point, 3-point shooting. It factors in how many times a team gets to the free throw line, what their percentage of getting to the free throw line when you combine free throws and field goals. There's so much to go through there. Again, we have the time to do that, folks, and that's why people pay us, and that's why we're good at what we do. You may not have the time. but if for $20, if you have any kind of analytical mind or you have any kind of mathematical mind, you might be well served to spend the $20 there. And no, we don't get a piece of any action from KenPom. It's just we're trying to make you a smarter sports better. That's all we're trying to say. All right, let me get to my game. It's Philadelphia and Seattle. That's the Monday night game. I'm going to do something different today, guys. I'm going to look at the first half line, which shows the Eagles as a 2.5-point favorite and a total of 23.5. And this is way out of character for me, but I just found value in looking at this when I was breaking down this game and it was assigned to me. Look, Philadelphia is 0-6 straight up in ATS in their last 6 games in first half betting. A lot of that can be attributed to slow starts, and a lot of it can be contributed to slow starts offensively. As a matter of fact, the Eagles have scored 7 points or fewer in the first half of each of their last 4 games. And they've been behind by 8 points or more in those 4 contests. Over the last 6 games, they've been outscored by 4 points a game in the first half. So you look at the Philadelphia defense over that 6-game period, and there's a correlation here because defensively, the Eagles are allowing 30 points per game and 428 yards per contest over their last 6 games. That's just absolutely horrible. And they've managed to win 4 of those 6 games. Why? They were behind at the half in all 6 games. So what's that tell you? Philadelphia's been a great second half team. But, when you go up against Dallas and San Francisco like they did the last couple of weeks and you fall behind, they found out quite quickly you can't do that against quality teams and get away with it. Seattle, on the other hand, over their last 4 games, they've covered 3 of the last 4 in the first half. They were ahead in 2 of those games. And since 2021, 2022, when the Seahawks give up 25 points or more in each of their previous 2 games, which they have, they lost 41-35 to Dallas 2 weeks ago, 28-16 to San Francisco last week, 8-1 against the spread in the first half since 2021 after allowing 25 points or more in their previous 2 games. And so there you have it. In their average point per game differential in those 9 games, +4. I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks here, +2.5 against Philadelphia. I didn't mean to throw you guys for a loop. When it comes to that, you can comment on anything you want to comment on when it comes to that matchup. You don't have to resign yourself to the first half. Sean?
I like the over here because Philly just looked anemic versus the Cowboys, right? And it's everybody. What do we see last? And you saw Philly getting embarrassed on a Sunday night. Seattle's offense. I know Jess is from early in August. He was on their bad offensive line. The wide receivers here. I mean, as bad as Russ was last year, he's had a bounce back year this year. You look at what Geno Smith did there. You're like, these guys could put up some points. And the Eagle defense, to me, they're still banged up. They're not. This is not a elite unit right now.
No.
So I think the Eagles off embarrassing loss. They're going to want to play better, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Seattle at home, they're still fighting for a playoff spot themselves. I'm going to go to the points here. I've been Pacific Northwest in the land of the raininess.
I don't blame you. It's not like Seattle's defense has been great either.
Yeah.
So, and again, Drew Lock played last week. Geno Smith didn't. Geno Smith is listed as questionable this week. But, you look at Seattle's wide receivers, Jesse, they still got some guys that can play in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So,
and a rookie too. That rookie I came from Ohio State.
Kid. Yep, exactly. So, and a couple good running backs when they're healthy. They've been banged up. Jesse, your take?
It sounds like Kenneth Walker is going to play. It sounds like Geno Smith's going to play. Who knows what you get from Geno Smith? He had a great game against Dallas. He hasn't had a great season. 30 touchdowns last year, only 15 this year. Not too many games left. And I said coming into the season that, the guy had a great year, but it's a bit of an anomaly. Whether or not he can keep that up is debatable. And I don't expect him to have another year like that in his career. But I like what Sean's saying. I'm with him on the over, but I was looking at actually a Philly team total over 23.5. I could see the Eagles scoring 24 and losing this game.
Yeah.
So rather than betting on the Eagles to cover 3, take their team total over 23.5. I think that was juiced to -130, but below that key number of 24, I think the win probability there is greater than just taking the Eagles on the spread. So I'll go with Eagles team total over.
All right. So our official pick for me is we're taking the Seattle Seahawks +2.5 in the first half against Philadelphia. And then Jesse likes the Jacksonville game to go over 42.5. And Sean likes the Dallas Cowboys and Buffalo Bills. That's Jacksonville and Baltimore, by the way, folks. And Sean likes the Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills over the total of 50.5. Those are our 3 picks. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. Let's see if we have any more comments here. Let's just get through these quickly before we leave. Zona versus Purdue.
Arizona.
Yeah. All right. So Arizona, I think Arizona is the best team in the country.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, and I think they're just too athletic for Purdue. Close. I'm from Battle Creek, Michigan.
You said he sounded Canadian.
Okay. All right. Joe
Fluco
ain't ish. Okay. Seth, I got you. Pounded Sports joined. Again, Sean, you got to let us know.
Again, that's got to be when you join the live chat on Twitter.
Says to take the Texans +3. They're actually better than 3 right now, Seth. Sean brought that up. I think he said 4 or 4.5. I like the Texans also. Derek. Many face God. Hey, Mr. Ross. Heavy in the Mr. I don't know what that means. Heavy in the Mr.
Heavy in the Mr. means Mr.
Show
Ross. You're the
Yeah,
boss.
okay.
Mr. Ross, you're the boss. Come on.
All right. Well, you guys, that's why I got you guys. I don't know this young lingo.
Yeah.
Handsome young man, whoever he is. Pounded Sports Betting. Some people will claim anything. Majorities of the time, they're just narcissists in their real life. Tickets online are so bad. Nobody online is taking 100%.
You know what? I think the same thing applies to sports betting and guys bragging about their wins, as in the real world with tough guys.
Yeah,
tough guys don't tell people they're tough. I'm sure you guys have had this experience. If you're tough and you're good with your fists and you can handle yourself physically, you don't tell people that because you don't need to.
Yeah.
People just know, right?
Yeah.
And if you meet guys that go around saying, "Oh, I'm tough," don't you know? Usually those guys are full of it, and they ain't.
You mean like the gentleman that we know in our industry that says he's a 3rd-degree black belt and beat up 2 martial artists in the mall in Las Vegas?
Let's go to the next question here.
Yeah.
Here we go. Next question.
Next question. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
$5K to win $500.
Hey, Ross, Oklahoma is a team that has its offensive line to opt out. That's what you're referring to yesterday. Oh, hey,
yeah, you mentioned a team that had its entire offensive
Western.
line.
That was Western. That would be Western Kentucky.
Okay.
And suppose to rain in Buffalo Sunday. You sure about that over? Again,
that's what I just said. If
rain doesn't matter, okay, rain doesn't
wind.
matter. It's the wind.
Wind.
I would be more inclined to really be concerned with the wind conditions and how effective each team would be able to throw the ball for 4 quarters, not just 2. Having said that, Buffalo's running game has been very good. They're also vulnerable against the run. So there's a lot to like about the over, regardless of the wind conditions. And when we talk about windy, it's always windy in Buffalo. It's like going to a game in Chicago. Okay, it's just a matter of how windy. So if we're not talking about 25-mile-an-hour winds or more, I wouldn't shy away from what Sean told you in terms of his pick goes in this game. All right, guys, always a pleasure. We don't have time to get to all our records this week because we ran long today. And but for those of you who are interested, you could see the leaderboards and the hot streaks and everything else.
Hey, Ross, the Oklahoma. So now Oklahoma has, 3 offensive linemen are out: center, guard, tackle, and their coordinator left.
What Jesse asked me is, you brought it up on the show the other day, and I couldn't remember what team I was referring to.
No, that was Western Kentucky, but he also, but he was just saying Oklahoma.
So he understands that. I'm not. Again, let me correct myself, sir. I'm not doubting what you said about Oklahoma, and Sean just verified that. It's just that Jesse mentioned that to me, and I figured, let me answer
I'm pretty
that.
sure that's what he was referring to, though.
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
He was trying to confirm.
Actually, Doug brought it up on Monday's show.
Yeah. We talked about it on Tuesday, and he said some team had the opt-outs.
And I couldn't remember who was at that time, and it was Western Kentucky. So in any event, guys, you can go to gamblersworld.net, folks. Right now, again, $299 for an entire bowl package for any one of us, all guaranteed. If you don't win, you don't make a profit, we will credit your account back the exact amount of your purchase price. Also, right now, 12 days of Christmas specials going on every day. Today, you're going to get 15% off a 7-day package, which reduces your price from $175 to $149. That's good until midnight tonight. That's guaranteed as well. Whatever you spend on that package, whether it be $149 or less because you applied credit to your purchase, we will refund that money back, or not refund, excuse me. We will credit your account back that exact amount of your purchase price. So there you have it. And one more here, Pound Sports, or Sean, this is 5,000 to win 500. I don't know what he's.
We're talking about people who are talking to do crazy parlays and putting crazy stuff up. People bet $5,000 to win 500 on stuff.
All right, we're all good here. So again, folks, thanks all of you for joining us today and chiming in. There's a like button right underneath, and it's again, Jesse will tell you exactly what to do with that like button.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button, folks. Sean didn't even take his headphones off. They must have talked off here, and Sean must have told him, you got to stop doing that because you're killing me. In any event, just touch that like button, folks, one time. That's all. Not like Chip told you twice and kind of wipes out the like. And that's just a small token of your appreciation for the time, work, and effort we put into giving you a quality podcast here and making you a smarter sports better today than yesterday. I'll be back on Monday with Doug Upstone. Jesse and Sean will be back with me on Tuesday. Another full week ahead. But from all of us here at the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel, to all of you out there, have a fantastic weekend, guys. Take care and God bless.